Welcome to Praise to the King of Kings, heralding the glory of God and the lordship of Jesus Christ over all of life and all the world. Boiled Frog, March 3rd, 2020. We've all heard about the frog in the boiling pot. Supposedly, if you try to put a live frog into boiling water, it will jump out immediately. Now, don't ask me who these frog boiling sadists are. But supposedly, if you put a frog into room temperature water and gradually increase the heat, the frog will comfortably remain in the pot until it dies, and you have yourself a French delicacy. Boiled frog legs, anyone? This analogy is the perfect illustration of what has happened with our public school system. Putting aside for a moment our problems with the soft socialism that tax-funded education represents, let's just consider what has happened over the past number of years. Let's go back in time. The year is 1974. My father is 9 years old and is memorizing scripture in the country school he attended. My grandfather is a well-respected school board trustee and will be for many years. Now let's try to imagine a homosexual advocacy group being brought in to provide a PD day for the teachers to train them how to be advocates for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual, transvestite, queer, plus. The plus is an open-ended invitation for any other sexual deviance we have forgotten to mention. A very hot place would have to be very cold before my grandfather and the other trustees would have allowed this to happen. Let's fast forward to 1999. I'm in grade 3, and my teacher goes to my church. We say the Lord's Prayer every morning in assembly, and for the next 3 years, my teachers will all be part of my church's quartet. In some ways, not too much has changed from when my dad was in school. My third grade teacher also taught my dad. Now let's try to imagine my male science teacher wore a dress, nail polish, and makeup to school and says he's not going by Mr. anymore. Suppose further that the school defended this teacher, declaring the school a safe space for all manner of cross-dressing expressions of gay identities. The school would have found itself without any students the very next day. Fast forward again to 2020. All those hypothetical examples that I have mentioned have come to pass. They have occurred within the town of Altona. While there was some moderate outrage around that ally card a few years back, the school has kept humming right along, full of children from Christian homes. I am incredulous. What happened? In only a few short years, things that would have caused riots now elicit little more than a shrug of the shoulders and maybe a letter or email to the principal. It has been the slow, steady, quote-unquote, progress that has desensitized Christian parents and brought us into the situation we're in now. What would have been unthinkable less than a generation ago is now commonplace. So I have a question for all the Christian parents out there whose kids are presently in the government schools. What would it take? Seriously, what would it take? I challenge you to seriously think through that question. How far would things have to go before you would pull your kids out of public school? If queer teachers and rainbow flags in the classrooms doesn't cross your line, what would? How about forcing your child to use the preferred pronoun for his transgender classmate? Children's books read to elementary school students about cross-dressing children? Stories about kids with 2 daddies or 2 mommies as part of a concerted effort to normalize all manner of sexual perversion at an quote-unquote age-appropriate level? All of these things are happening in our town. So I seriously ask, what is your line? How far would things have to go before you'll pull your kids out? Drag queen story time in the classroom? Meet and greets with gay couples to learn about alternative families? Looking at the trajectory that's been set by the Manitoba Teacher Society, I won't be the least bit surprised when things like this happen. And let's please not be naive enough to think that opting out of these events will protect your children from this worldview. It's time for Christian parents to pull the trigger and get their kids out of these schools. There are other options. From online schools to homeschool co-ops to private Christian schools, there are many ways to give children a quality education from a biblical worldview. You are not alone in this. Let us rally together in faithfulness to God and raise this generation in the discipline and admonition of the Lord. Soli Deo Gloria.